What does the Shadow Work and Pension Secretary Liz Kendall think about all this? I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the Minister earlier on, but basically...
I saw it,
yeah, I mean, she was basically, I think, giving away something that will be in the autumn statement tomorrow, which is that people who have mobility issues, disabled in some way, or have mental health issues who are presently at home will have to work from home.
I've always believed in the benefits of work, not just, getting a pay slip, but the dignity and self-respect and freedom that good work can bring. I think it's very interesting to see Rishi Sunak railing against the fact millions of people are out of work due to long-term sickness, saying it's a scandal they've been written off. Well, who's done that? It's under their watch. We now have the highest number ever of people out of work due to long-term sickness, 2.6 million. And every single year, that is costing the taxpayer £15.7 billion extra just since the pandemic. Being out of work is bad for individuals, it's bad for businesses, and it's bad for the economy. But it's happened under their watch. And we haven't seen anywhere near the scale of ambition we need to get Britain working again. And that's why Labour's plan to drive down those NHS waiting lists, to get people mental and health care early on, and to really reform social security so it helps make work pay is the way that we're going to get Britain working again.
So you, Labour, would support the government in their plan to get people who are disabled or suffering from mental health issues working from home?
I don't support their plan because I don't think they have one. Our plan is to recruit an extra 8,500 mental health staff to make sure people get that help early on, young people in schools and in new community hubs to really help prevent those problems getting worse. That's so important. We've seen a doubling of the number of young people out of work due to long-term sickness, predominantly driven by mental health. That's got to change. I want to make sure that women in their 50s who make up a large number of people out of work due to long-term sickness with bad knees, hips, joints, that they get the NHS care they need early on. And also for parents who desperately want to work, mums, we need to get them that early support, which is why we're promising breakfast clubs in every school that will make such a difference to families working again. That's a real plan. And I don't see anywhere near that scale of ambition.
OK, just to drill down on what we're talking about here, in the front page of the Times suggesting we'll know more tomorrow when we hear from the Chancellor, that the government wants people who are presently at home not working, either because they have a disability or because they have a mental health challenge. They are, you can see the headline on the front of the Times on the screen right now.
Yes,
I'm sure you've read the paper. That they will be expected to work from home.
And who has written them off for these years and led to that number?
That the Labour Party supports?
We have for years now been arguing that we need to really provide help to get people back to work.
So this is a policy that you would support?
I believe in help in work, that more people should be working, that we shouldn't be writing off millions of people.
But would you support this policy?
The government doesn't have a proper plan.
Well, they say they do.
Well, they don't.
Well, if they're saying that they want people who are at home presently, who have got, again, a mental health challenge or in some way a mobility issues, are you supporting that?
So how do
Because some people watching this morning might think that that is perhaps not the sort of caring, sharing view that we would get from the Labour Party.
The vast majority of people that I speak to are desperate to work, but they need help and support to do that. If you have a mental health problem, you need to get access to support to deal with that. And actually, if you speak to leaders in the NHS, they're desperate for people with mental health problems to work too, because if you have a job, you're less likely to use the NHS. But you need to have the help and support in place. So
but Labour would expect people like that to work.
We expect everyone who can work that they should work. Absolutely, as I said, because it's about more than money. It's about the dignity and self-respect that good work can bring. But I tell you what, there's a responsibility on the government too to put in place a proper plan. And we have not seen anything like that from this government. And the reason that's bad is it's bad for individuals, it's bad for businesses who need to draw on the talents of everyone in our country to grow, and it's bad for the economy. The OBR says that the rising number of people who are out of work due to long-term sickness is one of the big risks to our economy, a risk to growth. It's pushing up taxes to higher ever levels, and we've seen under the Tories, taxes are at the highest they've been for 70 years, and it's a real barrier to growth too. And that, Kay, is the big thing here.
OK, so people watching at home this morning who are thinking, you know what, I'm on long-term sick, I have a disability, or I've got a mental health challenge. From what I'm hearing from Labour this morning, I'm going to have to work from home, even though I don't feel that I can.
Listen, I'm a big supporter of flexible working and working from home if you can. But what those people, and they aren't those people, these are my constituents, and what they want is access to the talking therapies they need to deal with anxiety and depression. They need adaptations at work or at home if you have a disability. And we're seeing huge waits for people to get those adaptations both at home and in the workplace.
So you don't have to go out to work, but you have to stay at home to work. Stay at home and work.
I think you need to have the job that best helps you to work, and so that you can bring in a living for yourself and your families. For some people, that may be at home.
What about those who feel they can't work?
I think do you know, that is not what I hear from the vast majority of people who say, around 2 million people currently say they would work now or at some point in future if they can get their health condition under control, if they can have flexibility in case they have fluctuations in their conditions, if they can get the adaptations at home or at work.
And what about those who feel they can't work?
Well, people who have severe disabilities need decent help and support. And I know from my own constituency that people, the people who have disabilities need proper support. And I see in my own constituency that people are desperately struggling to get the social care they need, the support for family carers who are desperate themselves to go out to work but can't get the support they need to look after a loved one. So we strongly believe in work.
OK.
The government has failed to achieve that. And instead of railing against the problems that they themselves have created, we need to see a proper plan. That's what Labour's proposed. It's about time they started.
OK, just before I let you go, which tax cuts would Labour find unacceptable?
I want to see taxes on working people come down. I want people to have more money in their pockets.
So that wasn't my question.
It's under this government.
Wasn't my question.
We actually voted and campaigned against the tax increase that Rishi Sunak proposed on national insurance. I want to see those taxes come down. The way to do that is to make sure we get the economy working again.
So you're going to support any tax cuts?
No, I tell you what we wouldn't have been supporting is we saw all the briefing about a proposed cut to inheritance tax. We've been
they call that flying a kite in the business.
Well, they're flying all sorts of things at the moment. I mean, that is what I must say I find extraordinary about the last couple of days. They are all over the shop. We heard 5 new pledges announced yesterday when he hasn't even delivered the previous 5.
You've been watching our programme.
It was quite an astonishing day. And I think the long-term issue here is they are desperately trying to wipe their hands of the last 13 years that they are responsible for. People do want change, but the Tories cannot be the change from their own failure.
Whenever the next election is, hopefully you'll talk to us plenty of times.
I will. I'll always come back here. You know I will.
It's great to see you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us.